all for joining us this evening. We are definitely in for a great conversation. I have been looking forward to this. We have Miss Michelle Collins here with us today, and we are talking about this is really a special conversation because we really want to talk about emotional master, being masters of our emotions, right? And I feel like this is just a fitting way for us as Innovative Entrepreneurs Hub to wrap up our conversation series for the year, because 2020 has, everybody knows, it's just, there's no words for it, right? So I think this is just a great way for us to wrap up the year. But we have Michelle Collins, who is a powerful speaker, a published author, and a certified coach. She is also a ministry leader, possessing an undeniable gift to creatively flow between the secular and the sacred. And in 2019, she was nominated for Faith-Based Speaker of the Year. Congratulations. I didn't know that. She is amazing. She equips leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs of faith to stay connected spiritually as they build their brands and businesses. Her coaching is really focused on emotional mastery. So it was just really fitting. And funny enough, when my team and I were talking about how we were going to end the year, this was even a few months ago. When we started the meeting, I didn't know who we would bring on for this conversation, but before the meeting was over, I knew I had the perfect speaker in mind. And as usual, she came through and said yes for us. So I say all that to say, first of all, welcome, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashonda. It's great seeing you.
I know, right? How's everything going?
Everything is going okay. I'm just really grateful to have made it to December, as I'm sure you are as well, in an unprecedented year, 2020.
That's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it. So let's really just dive right in, if you do not
Yeah.
mind. The conversation that we were having, and I know we've sent you some notes. We really want to know how entrepreneurs can really close out 2020 on a positive note, because like you said, it's been an unprecedented year. And some of us are just really holding on and just hoping that 2021 will bring better days. So how can we close out 2020 on a positive note?
So, 2020, on a positive note, I think one of the things that we always say at the end of the year, at least I do, is finish strong, finish strong. This year, I'm just like, finish, whatever that looks like,
Right.
just get to it and get through it. One of the first things we learned up until this point is we really have to take into consideration how our mental and emotional state has been affected by everything that has been happening around us. And so there is no pressure, there's no proving any point. It's literally just finish with grace.
Yes.
Understanding, like we were saying earlier, that gratitude needs to take a forefront and a
Right.
front seat, because we literally made it. I think about the fact that 100,000 small businesses closed in 2020 all around us. There are for lease signs, and it's just really, really sad, because that is the heartbeat of our community as well as our America. The land, the nation that we live in. And with that being said, it just becomes more and more real every day. Last week, I took a suit to the cleaners, and my husband picked it up for me, and he was telling me that she was getting ready to close the very next week, and I was like one of her last clothing garment that she was getting ready to do. And sure enough, as I passed by, darkness, it says for lease and whatnot. So it's just really real all around, the kind of year that we've had. And so I would just say the positive thing is that we've made it as a person, because you first and then your business, right? Your mental state, your emotional state being well first and then business. So just finish and then be grateful for having made it this far. That's how I would say, to focus on being positive as we end 2020.
Yes, no, I love that. Just finish. And it really, in the most simplest terms, is really just that. And like you mentioned, beyond us as entrepreneurs, we're still people, and,
Correct.
we have our regular struggles. If this wasn't a global pandemic, and if we didn't face the social issues that we faced publicly, so just as people, just really give yourself that grace and that time, and just finish. So I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that you're a coach, and I'm sure that you've been dropping some of those same gems and really helping some of your clients as well, in terms of closing out 2020 strong. How can we, on the mental side and on the emotional side, really let go of this heavy year so that we don't take that into 2021?
Yeah. So, Rashonda, 72% of entrepreneurs are affected negatively as far as their mental health is concerned. 72%. And so it's really dire that we take that into consideration as we move forward, closing out one year and entering into another year. None of that is going to happen as far as our well-being, though, if we do not create the space in order to do that. I think that, we have to remember that when it comes to your mental health, you actually have to carve out time for that kind of wellness. You actually have to carve out time for your mental health, just as you do for marketing, just as you do for sales, just as you do, for your business and your dreams and your goals. You have to carve out that time. So number one is create the space. You're not late, but you don't have a lot of time before we get into 2021. So already on the calendar should be a time where you are going to create the space to literally unload on paper all that has been in your head, frustrations, disappointments. And this is where you're able to release some of the tension that has been built up in our heads, mentally speaking and emotionally speaking. And once you create the space on that calendar, this is my mental health day before I go into a new year. The next thing that you should do is really just take assessment. Like, what the heck happened? Like, what just happened? What was this? And how did it affect me personally? How did it affect me personally, my business and my health, my relationships and my wealth? How did all of this affect? So you have to take assessment. If you don't take assessment of where you are, then you're not going to have clarity on where to go, much less on where you're headed already right now. So you have to take assessment. Then, so you're creating space, you're taking assessment. Number 3 is you have got to be still. You have to be still. And in that stillness, what you're doing is you're actually waiting for next direction, for next move. And it's not going to come to you in the hustle and the bustle. It's not going to come to you, being bogged down with the news and the statistics and what's happening all around. You literally have to be still so that you can hear what your next move in your business needs to be. Maybe you are going to continue doing what you are already doing, or maybe you need to pivot. But how will you know that if you don't literally be still and get quiet so that you can hear what next steps are? And then finally, just take action in those areas. Take action in those areas that you got direction for and that you were able to take assessment on after creating the space that is much needed to do all of it. So that's really how you can prepare yourself. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. Otherwise, you might miss great opportunities for growth or exposure or being able to expand your business if you don't do those steps. It's really, really important. And they may not be necessarily in that order, but obviously number one is you actually have to make the time, which is create the space, and then do the others. So that's how I would say and recommend that you really prepare mentally and emotionally for the next year.
So Michelle and I have known each other for a few years, and every time that she's agreed to be a speaker for one of my platforms, she never disappoints. And quite honestly, 10 minutes into this, we could just shut it down because she just gave us everything that we need. Seriously, you really, really did. We have a comment from Jonae saying, be still. That's the space that she's been in, and it's been refreshing. And a lot of people really don't understand how important that is. So
yeah,
please say it again. Please say it again, Michelle. Why is that important?
Being still is so important because as we are moving physically, so is our mental capacity. It's on the move with us, right? And so when you're still, you're literally shutting down the noise that's around you and also quieting the noise that's within you. With that being said, you're quieting it down so that you can receive clarity over the confusion and the chaos for what direction to move in next. And you're never going to get the clarity. Even if you have a direction, there's some specific things as it relates to you, your calling, as it relates to your business, personally speaking, that you are going to need to hear what that looks like in detail. And you're not going to get it. You're going to miss it if you don't create that quiet time for yourself.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So we have create the space.
Yes.
Do the assessment and get the clarity. Be still. And then finally, take action, folks. Take action. You really do have to be your best advocate, of course. And for the things that you say that you want, you really have to go after it. Don't sit in that analysis paralysis that they say. It's really important. Once you get to that point, you have that clarity, you've been still, you know what the move is. Be certain in your decision and take action. Take action.
Very important.
I love it. So that sounds great. And some of us will take action. We'll be ready in 2021. We've set our goals. I know even for us, we had a great goal planning session last week with some of our entrepreneurs, and they've been able to strategize for the year for 2021, and everybody's looking for great things to happen. But sometimes we still run into obstacles. Sometimes everything is really an uphill battle, or it's up one day and it's down the next day. How can we continue to push forward with some positive self-talk? What does that look like, and what can we do and help ourselves have some positive self-talk?
Yeah, I love this because positive self-talk is so important to the entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur because you are a creative, right? And so you have created something as far as a solution for others. That's basically what it means. With that being said, as a creative, we have to remember that we also create our world by our words. So with that being said, what kind of a world, atmosphere, environment have you created around you, even with the people that work with you or that work for you or that you work for? What kind of an environment or a space have you created with your words? And so that's why positive self-talk is so important, because what you tell yourself is what you will exude in behavior, in choices, and in attitude as well. And so for us, positive self-talk is not just something that we say, but it's a literal tool that we need to pick up from time to time in order to make sure that we're functioning, the way that we ought to function as an entrepreneur, as a person, even in our relationships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not enough to just have the positive self-talk in our minds. Why? Because our body does not follow what's in our mind unless we voice it. We literally have to say it. So I can think I'm great. I can think I'm going to be successful, but it doesn't manifest until I actually say it out of my mouth. Then I'm having the opportunity to actually create what that looks like based on what was first in my head, then came out of my mouth, and now it's in my world. So it's very important that we open up our mouth, not just say anything, but to have positive self-talk. Now, also remember, as it relates to anything that you say, but specifically we're talking about positive self-talk and also affirmations, right? Our body, it takes our body 17 seconds to react or resonate with what we say. So you can't just say it one time and done. This is not how positive self-talk works. This is not how affirmations work. You literally have to be in a repetition with that thing, whatever it looks like for you. So one of my affirmations is, money is attracted to me. Money flows easily to my account. And I say that not one and done, but I say that a lot and I repeat it. And it's also recommended that you do 5 to 7 times. So if you were going to do positive self-talk or affirmations every day, the recommended time or amount is 5 to 7 times. Remember, saying it one time, it takes your body 17 seconds to resonate with what you're saying. So that's why you have to repeat it. If you want to do more than 7 times, by all means. But literally, you won't even believe it unless you say it frequently anyway. And then it becomes a part of your lifestyle. And that's what you really want to. That's why we can look at people and we can say, wow, they are so positive. I bet they've also engaged in positive self-talk. That's why by the time we meet them, their energy is just so positive. They don't wallow in the negative. Negativity does not come out of their mouth. And even if it does, they reverse that. Or even if someone brings it into their space, into their world, they refute it. They refuse it because they're like, no, this is foreign. This is a foreign object. My brain is not understanding that because I've been on this positive self-talk. I have been on this affirmation and I've been saying it. And this is the world that I've created with my words. So anything outside of that, anything opposite of that, I cannot accept. And so positive self-talk is a tool, literally a tool. As a creative, you can create your world, whatever you want your world to look like. By just your words. So I want to recommend, there is a YouTube video for those of you that are taking notes. There's a YouTube video that you should really listen to. Just go to YouTube and type in Success Affirmations for Entrepreneurs. Success Affirmations for Entrepreneurs on YouTube. It's a great thing. I go to sleep with that thing. I wake up to that. And it's just positive self-talk, but it's also positivity in my environment so that when I don't feel, we're talking about our emotions and mastering our emotions. When I don't feel like it, my atmosphere supersedes my feelings, right? And that can only happen based on what I've already created with the words in that said atmosphere. Again, is to go back to what I have been repeating in this atmosphere and make sure that it stays in the atmosphere and doesn't go anywhere. So that's some positive self-talk that, we can definitely engage in for success. I need you out.
Nice. I love it. I think, for the most part, everyone has heard about doing affirmations and positive affirmations and speaking that into your atmosphere and in your environment. But I think the 17 seconds might be new for some of us in terms of that really resonating with us and for us to really feel it. I think that might be new for us. So I think that was another great tip right there. speaking it over yourself and making sure that we're doing it in a repetitive fashion so that, you're doing it that 5 to 7 times or more. And it really does become a part of you. And it's really is a part of your fabric and your being, and really being a part of your atmosphere. I think that was great. All right. I just want to take a look to see if anybody has any comments or if there's any other questions. Also, folks that are joining us live here, if you do have any questions, I'm sure Michelle can shed some light on being able to help us really figure out and have a clarity on how we can move forward in 2021 and being
I'm not
able.
sure if you can hear me, Rashonda, but we were doing so good. And of course,
technology.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
I can see you now.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay. Uh-oh. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I think you.
Are you there?
I froze. I'm not sure. I'm here. Can you see me?
I don't know if you're able to hear me.
I can hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Finally.
Yes.
We were doing so good.
I know. We're going to try to push through. Uh-oh. I'm not sure if I'm still on or if we just lost Michelle, but we will continue to push forward. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please drop those in the comments because we are going to get through this. We are going to get through it. Are you there, Michelle?
I am. Yes.
All right. All right. That's okay, but that's what happens when you're dropping all this good knowledge and this info. All right. So I know that you are an author and you have been really doing a lot of great work in this area. That's why it was just a perfect fit for us to have you on talking about this. And I really, if you can help us, how have you been helping your clients in terms of their mindset shift and really making sure that they're there and ready to move towards 2021 and setting some goals? What are some tips that you're sharing with some of your clients and some of the folks in your community and your network on how we can just really have that powerful explosion into 2021, so to speak, with that mindset?
Yeah. Well, number one, reflection is always key. Never move forward without reflecting on the past. We kind of alluded to some of that earlier. So reflection is really, really key. You have to sit down and kind of write down what worked, what didn't work, what part you played in that as far as what didn't work. When I looked, I saw some inconsistencies as far as showing up on my end. Everything is not perfect. I'm not here saying I'm, doing all of this so well. So yeah, that didn't work for me. Inconsistency did not work for me. Fear did not work for me. So these are some of the things that you have to really look at within yourself, reflect, and not just the positive, but also the negative or the areas that you can really grow in. What worked, what didn't work, and then make a decision to show up differently and more powerfully next year. And nothing is, I always say nothing happens unless it's written down. So you have to actually write down what it is that you want to see, whether it's a continuum of what you've been doing or whether it's something new that you came up with or that you received in that quiet time. Write it down. It's like magic, Rashonda. It's like sometimes I get things accomplished and I'm looking at the paper. I'm like, wow, because we actually have to move it from headspace to written space, right? That's how we see the manifestation. So reflection is definitely key. write down, the goals as far as when you look at what worked and what didn't work. Very, very important. And I think from there is definitely a setup for success. You'll have your personal business, entrepreneurship, creativity blueprint in front of you to follow, and you'll actually remember, wait a minute, this didn't work. Inconsistency did not work. So I need to really remember that going forward, when we hit mid-year and, when distractions come, and they will, but at least we'll have that blueprint that we can always go back to.
Yes, I love it. I love the idea of making sure that folks understand the importance of reflection as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like you said, we're just going and going and going, and we don't really take the time to reflect on, was this really a good thing for me? Did this really work? And what did work? Right.
So we never want to remain stuck.
Right.
Sometimes we get comfortable, and we get comfortable because nobody's saying anything. Right. Or because it's working for us, but is it working for your clients? Is it working for your customers? And find out what part. That's a hard part, to find out what role you're playing in what's not working. Yes. A lot of times we don't have any problems patting ourselves on the back, but we also have to look at what didn't work, and it was because of us or what we allowed in our space, in our mind, whatever that may look like.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So I sort of jumped ahead a little bit because I mentioned you being an author, but I did want to make sure that we got some of those nuggets in terms of how our mindset can really be replenished and on a different path for 2021. So thank you for that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So I do want to talk about reboot.
Yes,
come on
ma'am.
now.
Yay, reboot.
I know. It's another amazing gem that you gave to us. I remember when you were writing the previous book before this one, and just that process that you went through and really leading up to that, what really was happening and manifesting in your life. But tell us about, what is reboot? Just the name itself, right? So, but tell us
I'm
about
excited
reboot.
to do that. And so this is my second baby, Reboot. So this book, subtitle, Operate on a Whole New Level. One of the things that you mentioned was my prior book of Spirit Check. And if you remember, Spirit Check, Practical Solutions for Emotional Mastery. So I looked at Spirit Check as the diagnosis. Like, this is what needs to happen in your life. You need to have a Spirit Check so you can find solutions to master your emotions. Well, once you do that, the next step, I think this is the prescription, is to reboot. And this book is so amazing, not because I wrote it, but it's literally a guide, a manual. What I did is I talk to you as if you were a machine or a computer, and I compare our bodies to that. For example, when our phones or our devices no longer work or they don't function by design, we upgrade it, we trade it in, we get a whole new one. And, sometimes we don't do that for our mental space. Sometimes we don't do that for our emotional space. We don't do that sometimes for our physical bodies. One of my favorite chapters is called Before You Crash. We will literally get to crashing and burnout point before we even say, maybe I need some help. Maybe I need some support. Especially as an entrepreneur, you're probably, used to being everything for that business, for that dream that you're manifesting every single day. And so that can have some wear and tear on your inner being. And so every so often, like I say in the book, reboot is just reboot as often as you deem necessary without apology. And I break it up into 3 parts. So first, we talk about what it means to boot up, because as it relates to a computer or your laptop, there are certain things that you have to do to boot the computer up. Like, literally, you have to turn it on. You have to keep it charged. And those are some of the things that we have to do as well. The second part of the book are applications. As you know, we use applications all day long on our devices. They are solutions for the things that we want. And so the applications that I talk about in Reboot are more scenarios on how to, for example, if you're about to go into an environment that you know is going to be tension filled, how do you navigate that? When, maybe not on speaking terms with someone, but you have to see them during the holidays. Although maybe you're quarantined right now, but maybe you have to be on, Zoom or something with them. But how do you navigate those kind of things that wear on our relationships and our mental state? So I talk about all of these applications, what to do when you feel anxious and fear, what to do when you feel stuck. And I give you practical, literal things like, you can literally turn to page 86 and be like, oh, that's right. Michelle said I need to do 1, 2, 3. And if I do these things, I'm rebooting my mind in this area. And then finally is logging off. When we log off the computer, everyone's different. Some people just shut the laptop down. Some people walk away and keep it on and running. Some people literally close out all the applications and they do what they're supposed to do. We're all very different, but the end of the book talks about how you can properly take time for yourself. We kind of went through some of those things, some of those examples on this live. But it's just really important for us to remember those things. My favorite chapter in that section talks about still loading. So sometimes when you have put in an application and it's still loading, or you're going to some part of the internet and maybe you're having internet difficulty, and it says still loading, and you're so impatient because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have all this time. How long is it going to take to load? And so that's how it is sometimes in life. But what I'm saying in still loading, as far as Reboot is concerned, the book, I'm saying that, listen, I'm a work in progress and process all at the same time. So I'm allowed to give myself some grace, because we forget about that. The pressures of life, sometimes the pressure from business, sometimes the pressure from people who mean well, or people who don't mean, who don't have our best interest at heart. Sometimes we can feel that pressure. And so we just need to remember to give ourselves grace to say, listen, I'm a work in progress, but that doesn't mean that I am not moving. I'm moving forward at my pace, and I'm giving myself the grace to get to my destination outside of everybody else's intentions and thoughts for me and my life and my business. So it's just really, like you said, a gem of a book. And I'm really, really proud of it. So if you read Spirit Check, that's the diagnosis. And I would say that Reboot is the literal prescription.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I love the way that you really related it, where entrepreneurs and business owners can really understand those scenarios and those situations, and relaying it as it is a computer and as our bodies are. And I have a confession. I'm one of those people who leaves all the windows open, and I just let the computer go to sleep just a little bit so I can come back and be right where I need to be. But no, I think that's very important. And that is how we need to, especially for entrepreneurs who might be solopreneurs. You're everything in your business, and you really do need to have sort of this other side where you can really take care of yourself and nurture yourself and really understand, because it's not a 1 month thing. It's not a 1 year thing. Like, if you're in this for the long haul, and you only get one body, you only get one mind. So you really do need to take care of yourself and make sure that you're nurturing that. And I think Michelle lays that out wonderfully in her book, Reboot. And that's just some things that we can apply to ourselves and to our lives and to our businesses. I think that was pretty smart, but I have a lot of friends that are smart, so I'm not surprised by that. But I love it. I love it. So how can folks get Reboot?
You can get it on Amazon. Just type in Reboot Michelle Collins. It will pop up, as well as on my website, michelleharriscollins.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Don't forget, folks, make sure you grab a copy of that.
Yes.
You know, we're what, 13, 14 days left in the year.
Yeah.
You know, this is a great read for you to shut down. Probably this week is probably your last week of really
Exactly.
hustling and bustling. So now you can spend the next 2 weeks reading this book and really absorbing it and applying it to your life and going
Exactly.
into 2021 strong and ready to face, you know, what 2021 has to bring.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm just panning over to see if we have any questions. For all of our entrepreneurs, you know, Michelle and I know that it's not easy being a business owner. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. So if you feel that you need some help and some guidance on the emotional side, on the mental side of being an entrepreneur, please connect with us and we can get you in touch with Michelle. Are you taking any new clients, Michelle?
I will in the new year. My
Okay.
goal this year was, I know it's a low number, it was 7 clients, and I had my biggest one. In fact, we are almost finished. She's writing her book, and I literally became her book coach. And so, yeah, next year, absolutely, January, open for you as far as your emotional journey and navigating that as you do business, as you do life, as you do relationships. That's my jam. I love it because our emotions affect the journey, and sometimes our journey affect our emotions. So it's very important that we tap in and kind of see what's going on and how to just master it. And also not only master it, you know, sometimes we think master means expert and there's no more learning or growing, and that's not true. As it relates to your emotions, what I'm saying is manage it, really. Don't mute it. I always say that, manage it, don't mute it. And you alluded to that, Rashonda. I speak from personal experience. This is sometimes your assignment chooses you, and sometimes you choose your assignment. Right. But my personal experience, you know, I muted a lot of things and then my body was affected and we know what happened. But I'm so glad that happened so I could learn the lessons and be who I am today, to be even be able to share some of these nuggets. And not everyone will have my story specifically, but we're all on a journey. Our emotions are going to be affected, or our journey will affect our emotions. And it's just so important that we prioritize our mental health, because 1 in 4 is affected mentally speaking. And, you know, almost 100% of entrepreneurs deal with that, like I said. So it's just really time that we do that. And, you know, my hashtag, let inner healing go viral. You would be surprised how even the way you relate to the people that work with you or the people that have to work with you, how some of these emotions surface based on even your childhood. Therapy is very important. I love therapy. I've said that you go to therapy, you think you're going for one issue, and all of a sudden you're talking about 5-year-old Michelle and what happened, and you didn't know that you needed to go back and deal with that, you know? So it's just super duper important. It's high time, especially now. It's a global pandemic as it relates to what might be affecting our mental health. So it's more and more important that we prioritize it. We do not take it for granted as we you know, continue to rise through the ashes of what has been going on. So yep, that's what I would say.
Yes. And, you know, just to reiterate, you know, we are people, we go through things as entrepreneurs, as business owners. We still have relationships, we still have families, we still have, you know, maybe some real physical health problems that we need to tend to. So there's just other things outside of our business that we need to tend to, and being able to have the outlets and have the tools and the resources to help you deal with it. That's really what we are about here at Innovative Entrepreneurs Hub. It's not just about giving you those templates of how to run your business. You know, we're really talking and bringing forth folks that can help you in your relationships as it relates to your family and your personal relationships, and as it relates to your emotions and how we deal with things or how we don't deal with things, right?
Correct.
So it's really about, as Michelle mentioned in the beginning, the wholeness of it all.
Mhm.
It really is about that. So, like I said, I think this was a great way for us to round out the year. A lot of us have been on ups and downs or just but being able to really tap into our emotions and tap into how we deal with things or don't deal with things, I think it's very, very important. So looks like you have a new order. Congratulations.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. And don't be afraid of therapy, folks. Don't be afraid of therapy. You know, you really have to make sure you're doing what's best for you on that wholeness level.
Mhm.
So, Michelle, I know you always drop knowledge and wisdom. What do you have for us? What are some final nuggets that we can take and be nice and snug with?
Yeah, I love it. You know, what I would say, I want to talk to entrepreneurs personally now, heart to heart. This is what I would say to you, those of you that are listening, you know, to close and round everything out. Number one is to always try and keep it professional and not take things so personal.
Yes.
That's how we mess up when we move from professionalism to taking things personal, like attacks or comments or asking us to, you know, redo an order,
Yes.
or redo, you know, something that we've always done it one way. And, you know, we just have to keep those things in mind as we move forward. Remember, it's all about emotional mastery. If I'm going to master my emotions, and I've got to keep my feelings in check. So professionalism over taking things personal is what I would say. I also want to talk about the word support. We hear the word support so many times. It's very important. We would not be where we are today if we did not have the support of our community, our friends, if that's your case, and even family, if that's your case. But there have been times that I've seen on social media that support can turn into, or asking for support can turn into pseudo bullying, if I can use that word. And what I mean by that is sometimes we do feel unsupported. And so we get on social media, and, you know, I've seen entrepreneurs at different times say, if you were really my friend, you would buy my book, or you would, you know, wear my lip gloss, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, that's bullying. I don't know if you understand it, but you should not be in a position where you are bullying people in order for them to support you. I think you continue to show up, and the only expectation you should have is based on the work that you're putting forward. Your people will find you. As well as your customers, your clients will find you. Just be consistent, be focused, and keep showing up. Of course, you're going to have strategy. Of course, you're going to have goals. And of course, you're going to have a plan. But we just have to be careful that we don't use social media or conversations to bully people, making them feel bad about supporting or not supporting us. I would really like to see an end to that as we move forward in 2021. And let's remember that support looks different. You know, support is not always an order. Or people attending your event. Support could be a reshare. Support could be an encouragement in your inbox, an email, you know, saying, listen, I really enjoyed your newsletter this week. Keep going. Support looks different. So I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, you know, the coins, the money matters. That's our livelihood. But at the end of the day, it can't be our driving force only. We need to be conscious of it, but not driven by it. And so with that being said, let's just remember that support looks different, and find the different ways that you are being supported, and stop looking at it only being orders, or, in a particular way. So, those are some of the things that I want to definitely share. I also want to talk about the last thing, Rashonda, is passion versus responsibility. Sometimes, especially this year, maybe a lot of you were not able to really function in passion because of all that was taking a toll on us, mentally and emotionally speaking, all around us. But there's a beautiful thing when you go from passion to responsibility. Responsibility just allows you to show up in spite of. Right. And what that means, it's going to be different for everybody. In spite of what's happening around you, just continue to show up. And if you are not able to, because one thing I always say is respect your season. If there's a season in your life that's happening, and this could be a week, a month, months, or even a year. I know people are taking a year off. That's okay. Do what's best for you without apology at all times. And that will keep you healthy emotionally as well. When we give into the pressures that we place on ourselves, even, and some of the pressures that I talked about earlier, then that's when that can wear and tear on us mentally speaking. So, if you don't have passion, remember responsibility, which is really, why did I start? Why am I doing this? And if it needs to look different, that's okay. If you need a reboot, that's okay. Remember, you have the authority to reboot as you deem necessary, not anyone else. So those are some of the nuggets that, I would just leave with us as entrepreneurs, especially as we close out one year and we go into a new year. These are additionally some of the new mindsets that I'd love to see us adapt, even on social media, as well as in our personal lives and our business.
Well, you've done it again. You have done it again. I'm going to have to go back and watch this because I feel like I was trying to take notes too much and I probably missed something. So I'm definitely going to have to watch it over again. But I think those are great. When we're really talking about emotional mastery, it is difficult, and for you to take your personal feelings out of it because, it is our baby when we're talking about our business. And sometimes we do want to respond to things just on that personal level, and it's just our emotions talking and not really coming from the perspective of being professional. So I love that. Keeping your feelings in check. You really have to understand that line, looking at that support and what that really is, and not doing the bullying, so to speak. And I do agree with you in terms of how folks look at that and how they voice that. And then I love the different mindset shifts. I think that is important. And again, as successful entrepreneurs and successful CEOs, we really do have to make that mindset shift because it's different from being just the entrepreneur. And now you're going into that CEO realm. So you really do have to make that change.
Yeah. And your people are depending on your emotions being mastered by you.
Yes. And yes.
We kind of, we had a president that, in my opinion, didn't do such a good job of mastering his emotions. And you can just see the effect of that just on, the society and our mental space. And we are not in his world, as we talked about per se, but yet we are still being affected by his words and the way, his lack of tact as it relates to emotions and, feelings and navigating relationships. So use that as an example.
That is a really good example of just going off of emotion. That is a really good example for sure. All right, I was checking around. I don't see any other comments or questions, but once again, Michelle, thank you so very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Folks, if you are not in our Facebook group, we are Innovative Entrepreneurs Hub group. I would urge you to join our group. We talk about all things entrepreneurship. And Michelle is also in our group, so that could be an opportunity for you to connect with her even further. But how can they reach you on your platforms?
Sure. So you can reach me on Facebook and Instagram at Michelle Harris Collins, as well as my email is michelle@michelleharriscollins.com. And just, really appreciate the conversation. We always have good conversations, and just appreciate your friendship over the years. And very proud of you as I was thinking about coming on, and just you stepping out of your comfort zone, and look at you,
I know.
Really proud of you for remaining consistent even during such a volatile year that we've all experienced. Thank you for being there. You were there for us, and it definitely showed. So keep going, and I look forward to seeing great things from you even in 2021 and beyond.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and it is a different, you've seen me on Facebook Live so many times this year. It's crazy. I can't even believe it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle and I have an ongoing.
That was you.
When we see each other, we have to take a crazy photo. So she knows how much I don't
This
like
one.
to do. Yes, I don't do the on-camera stuff. But thank you all so very much. Thank you. Make sure that you are finishing out the year strong. Michelle told us, just finish it out strong.
Yeah.
I wish you guys nothing but the best. Make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. You are taking care of your families. You are drinking water, and you are staying safe. Happy holidays, Michelle, to you and your families, to the Collins family. And
Absolutely.
looking forward
and minding your business.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we will see you guys the next time. Again, we're always in the Facebook group sharing tips and tools and resources for entrepreneurs. I invite you to join us if you are not in the group. But until next time, have a great evening and take care of yourselves. Thanks again, Michelle. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.